is it sexism when we have no barriers today? So we can pick what we want to pick.
Who doesn't have barriers?
Women don't have barriers?
Women, yeah. What's
we
stopping
have no
you? You
barriers.
can do whatever you want.
I can or you can?
What's stopping you?
So, Vice News decided to produce and release a dumpster fire of a debate between feminist and anti-feminist. But the entire debate centered around everything but feminism. Let's talk about it. So, Vice have done these debates before, and I actually saw a similar debate. I don't know if it was anti-feminism or pro-feminism, like versus, or if it was like conservative feminist versus liberal feminist, or something like that. It was like a few years ago, a couple of years ago, and it was actually not that bad. Compared to this shithole they produced recently, it was the fucking Mona Lisa. It was amazing. But I do like look forward to these type of debates. I like debates in generally because I like debate myself. I was a debater in university and college, and I like these sort of round table talks. Like I like the sort of the Jubilee videos that they do where they bring like 3 people or 4 people from either side of an argument, and they ask questions and they come and they say why they agree or disagree, and then they have a discussion about it. And of course Vice News, like Jubilee, is a liberal or progressive organization or news organization or whatever. So they're going to sort of edit the videos to lean to whatever biases they have. I mean, i.e. Sydney Watson's face in the thumbnail. That was shady. That was shady, Vice. We see you. Anyway, speaking of Sydney Watson, I think Sydney Watson was literally the bee's knees. She was the MVP of the entire debate. She was the one that I enjoyed the most, and she was the one, when she spoke, I was like, yes, thank you, intelligence. Like actual sentences and not just word salad. So it was actually really, really nice to have her on, and that's probably the only reason why I even clicked on the video, because they put Sydney Watson's, that awful photo they have of her on the thumbnail. She was the best out of all of them on the panel, but she wasn't the only one that I recognized. I also recognized Pearl from Pearly Things or Just Pearly Things, and I know that Pearl has a huge and very much growing fan base in the red pill community. She's not my cup of tea. To me, she's kind of seems like a gimmick or someone who speaks with her brand, you know, always on her mind, and I think that was evident in the video itself, where her responses are always sort of just talking points. You know how like pro-choicers always have their my body, my choice. They always have their, you know, protest talking points, and that's kind of how I felt when she was speaking. It was like, you know, what would my audience want me to say? What do I say? What do Pearly Things say to things like this? Like, women are just sluts, okay? They just want to sleep around. That's why they want birth control and abortions. Women are lazy. Every single woman on this planet is privileged and don't have to suffer. We all have way better lives than men. Instead of like being a bit more nuanced with her argument.
There's a pay gap, but it's because women don't want to do the hardest industries.
I don't think it's that simple. I think that's an oversimplification. I think the fact of the matter is that women structure their lives differently to men. Men don't give birth. Men don't have to carry pregnancies. Men don't have to be the primary caregiver most of the time. Women also don't hold jobs for as long as men do. They often will stop and start. They'll go back into work. They'll take time off. They'll take part-time jobs. The way that men work and women work are astronomically different, and to try to say that they're comparable is where this issue comes from. They're not comparable.
Now, it's not that I didn't agree with her. I just thought there were simplifications, and again, it feels like every time I hear her talk, she's speaking through her brand, and it feels a little bit less genuine to me. That's my opinion about Just Pearly Things, but I do know that she has a big fan base, so you probably disagree with me, and that's fine. Now, the third person that I recognize, which I was really concerned that they were on the panel, I believe is Elijah, or probably not the right name, but the trans woman, the biological man that was sitting on the end with a short Karen white blonde haircut, second row up. Why, Vice? Why did you invite a criminal to sit on the panel? And I'm saying criminal because they are a self-proclaimed criminal. They have confessed themselves to send drugs illegally to minors through the mail. When I'm talking about drugs, I'm talking about testosterone placement or puberty blockers. Those are drugs. And you're sending them to underage children through the mail without the parental consent. That is illegal. That is against the law. And they have admitted that themselves. So this is not even alleged. She's a criminal.
A few months ago, I posted on Instagram asking for testosterone for a friend who actually already had a prescription. His doctor was out of town and he couldn't get a new one. Within hours, my story was taken down and I received a warning by the administrators. Now, of course, I know it's against Instagram rules to share substances, and I wasn't particularly surprised that it was removed. But I was still upset. So yeah, I know it's illegal, duh. So is changing my social security to female without medical treatment. Maybe our parents don't want us to get care. There are so many reasons why we should be able to offer hormones through an informed consent model, perhaps even not involving doctors or therapists. It's as easy as checking your blood panels on your own, really just as it is any other long-term medication.
And they also have a sex assault allegation towards them. That's just an allegation, just throwing it out there. Now, Sydney Watson did her own reaction or her own breakdown on how that whole day went. She did say it was literally hours and hours long with not a lot of breaks to eat, so people were getting hangry. But one of the things she did say is that people did bring up, or at least she brought up, the fact that this person is a criminal or what they've done or allegedly, and it was talked about. And even maybe the host or people that were working at Vice seemed to a bit confused about that and seemed to not even know that that was out there. So it makes me think that they're not actually doing really good background checks on the people that bring on these panels, and they simply invited this person because of their identity, because they're trans and they're popular, so bring them on, right? Who cares what they actually spouse on the internet? But of course, Vice edited that all out and left it on the editing room floor. And that's about it. That's the only three people that I recognized on the panel. There was another, I think she was conservative, or at least she had a bit of common sense. The black woman with the swoop hair style. I wish she spoke more. Maybe she just was generally quiet on the panel, but I wish she spoke more because I like the things she was saying. She wasn't articulating it perfectly, but I liked what she was saying, and I was kind of hoping she would speak more. Other than that, all of them are fucking clinically insane, especially Jingle Jangles. That's what everybody's calling her, the Jingle Jangles, I don't know, Aborigine activists on the end there with all the coins on her breastises, her upper area of her outfit, the cackling she was doing.
It's frustrating because when we try to talk about it, we get shouted down, we get told.
She might be a secret admirer of Kamala Harris. So going through the debate, I'm not going to break this debate completely down. I'm just going to point out a couple of things that I noticed, and I already kind of hit on one that was really fucking ear bleeding annoying, was the fact that they weren't ever really talking about feminism. They were talking about their individual complaints about how life isn't fair. A bunch of grown adults bitching that life is not fair, something that I learned when I was a child. And what I learned as a child is life is not fair. So you figure out the best ways to get over the hurdles and the boundaries and the walls and the obstacles that's in your way. You build the skills and the knowledge and the mentality to get through life so you can create the best life that you want. But here are a bunch of women talking about how because they're fat, because they have no legs, because they're black, or because they're trans, life isn't fair. It was very little to do about feminism, and it was just the freaking oppression Olympics. Let's bring that back. Shoe on head. I think she was the one who coined that. The oppression Olympics was just that, and that was my favorite part of the debate, is when Sydney Watson just had that fucking rant, because that was what we were all thinking watching again this dumpster fire.
I don't understand how we're getting so off topic. This is about feminism today, whereas everybody wants to make this about their individual, here are all the multitude of other things that factor into my person. Great, this is about feminism, it's about womanhood. I understand that all of you have your own individual experiences and the other things that feed into you as a person. That's perfectly fine, but this is where intersectionality falls off the planet and loses, I would argue, probably the vast majority of people, including me. I'm not even a feminist. I don't give a crap about feminists arguing amongst themselves about who's the most victimized, but this is annoying to listen to. I honestly I don't understand anything anybody's even trying to get at.
As a black woman, that was the go-to start of synthesis. As a black woman, as a disabled woman, as a fat woman, as an ugly woman, as a trans woman, as a Australian woman with jingle jangles, as a black woman, I think that feminism is one of the most least empowering things there is today. Not first wave feminism, but today, third wave, modern day feminism, maybe is now even just sort of intersectionality feminism, which is the giant problem, the intersectionality part of it. It's one of the least empowering things out there. It's the thing that is going to destroy women and most likely just destroy society. It puts people stuck in this perpetual state of, oh, I'm a victim mentality. And something the black woman said, I don't know her name, but something she said is like, a problem with feminists today is that of their mentality.
What is the biggest issue then that feminism faces?
I think it's the mindset. Women taking like the agency, women taking initiative. I think it's mindset holding them back a lot, because if you want to be in a competitive world and compete, you have to have the right mindset. And I think a lot of people blame their lack of confidence or what society tells them for the reason that they're not achieving what they need to achieve, when that's not the case. You have to have the mindset of achieving, because the men who built the world had the mindset of building it. So the women who want to engage and build that further, they need to have that same mindset.
If you think you are a victim, if you think you were oppressed, you literally give your power away. Because let's say that you're at a job and you're failing at your job for some reason. You're just not climbing the ladder, you're not getting promotions and stuff like that. Instead of looking at yourself and saying like, what could I have done better, right? Like, am I lacking something in education and knowledge? Am I lacking in motivation? Am I not competitive enough in my job? What can I bring? What more innovations can I do to try to be noticed in my workforce, right? Instead of doing that, they're simply going to shrug and go, misogyny, it's sexism, it's the patriarchy. They're not going to take that power back, that control back, and go, what could I do to make my life better? When you put the blame on everyone else, you also give your power to change your life away. That is what you do. And then you get stuck in a perpetual state of oppression and victimhood. So since you're not taking any accountability or responsibility and trying to make your life better, and you're putting it all on the system, right? You're going to be stuck complacent. You're not going to move forward. You're not going to thrive. You're not going to progress. You're not going to get that promotion, and you're going to stay stuck forward while everyone else is moving forward, and you're going to keep blaming it on the system. You're going to keep blaming it on society, and then you're going to sit there and go, see, it has to be because I'm oppressed. It has to be because I'm a victim. Instead of looking yourself in a fucking mirror and be like, bitch, it's you. You are the problem. Get up off your ass, stop the complaining, and just do it. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that's oversimplification, Shamika. Like, people have hard lives. Everybody has a fucking story. Everybody has trauma. Everybody has some childhood bullshit baggage. Everybody has that. It is not up to the world to fix that for you. If you have issues mentally, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, then you take the steps to fix that or correct that or heal that so you can move forward in life. It's not anyone else's responsibility but you. Telling someone else they have the power to create the lives that they want. That their past does not define their future. That their trauma does not define their future, that whatever label they have, whether it's their gender or their skin color or their sexuality or their fucking religion, does not define the future that they can have. That's fucking empowering. That is empowering. Why does it feel like I'm not saying empowering right? Empowering. Powering. You get the point. It's just keeping women in these sort of like, woe is you, you go queen cuddle fest. Okay, I'm done with that rant. Moving on. The other thing that I noticed, which most of the pro-feminists were doing, which is the very progressive thing to do. This is what they do. It's these protest slogans where they use these very overlapping generalizations to explain themselves, but when they're asked to break it down, they're unable to do so. And that was very evident when Pearl kept asking, like, what barriers? What's stopping you? How are you a victim? Asking them to give her specific examples or the barriers or what's stopping them from moving forward as a woman, not as a black woman, not as a trans woman, not as a fat woman, not as a disabled woman, not as an ugly woman, but as a woman. What is stopping you? And none of them can answer the fucking question. Like, how can you be so passionate about something and you can't even explain it?
How is it sexism when we have no barriers today? So we can pick what we want to pick.
It doesn't have barriers.
Women don't have barriers?
Women, yeah. What's
We
stopping
have no
you? You can do
barriers.
whatever you want.
I can
you?
or you can?
What's stopping you? As a woman.
As a woman.
As a woman,
See,
as a woman.
That ignores a lot that I'm a woman with a disability. So there's a lot stopping me that you don't have to think about.
Well, as I
You don't
said
have to
before, I'm
think about.
speaking about women.
You're speaking for yourself.
You're speaking as an
able-bodied
able-bodied
woman.
I
that is
understand.
white.
Represents white.
Of course, there's going to be other barriers if you're disabled. I'm sure. Like I'm talking about as a woman.
So you're
I
just
would
going to
agree.
ignore
White
the
women
pay
have it
gap.
easier, yes.
It's like there are the barriers, right, that we constantly ignore that are very much systemic and microaggressive, right? We see them and experience them every day.
Like what in the U.S.?
So,
Like what?
What would you like to know an example of?
I know you said that there's like barriers. I want to know what barriers in the U.S. today as a woman.
Well, as a woman or as a woman of color? Let's be specific.
As a woman. I said as a woman.
Well, no, I can't answer as a woman.
I
I'm
just feel like
not
your
a woman,
question is
right?
kind of hostile when you're like, there are no barriers to what I want. Congratulations. That means you have a privilege where you're not facing any friction, and that's showing. And I feel like it's
I think as an American, you're very privileged.
Right.
Can we stick to male versus female? That's my question. So I'm thinking male versus female.
But feminism includes ability, it includes
but my
race.
question is
You
for
guys
women.
can talk.
Women versus men. Like what barriers do we need removed? Because that's my statement. I'm not stating anything else. I'm stating women versus men.
It's very silly.
Like so what barrier?
Why is it silly?
The question
It's a
is
fair
silly.
question.
So, yeah, but
It's not a fair question. It's
how is it
hostile.
not a fair question? So which barriers?
Those
Okay,
barriers that you
so-
don't believe in.
You know, they say stuff like, you know, the system, the patriarchy is systematic, fairness, which is really weird. Like, I want fairness. What is that? That's like something you, like a 3-year-old say, or you say to a 3-year-old, what does that mean? Life is not fair. That is how life is designed. Just look at the animal kingdom. If you want evidence of life, life is not fair. There's always going to be someone better than you, prettier than you, taller than you, more successful than you, smarter than you, more talented than you, more charming than you, born in a better environment than you, that has more mental stability and clarity than you. There's always going to be someone that can be better than you. So life is never going to be fair. That's why they talked about equity. Equity is basically, you know, let's say there's a short basketball player and all the other basketball players are tall. Instead of empowering that shorter basketball player by saying you just have to try harder because you're not as tall as everyone else. So you have to find other skills that push you on the same level or better than the rest of them, right? So maybe you dribble faster, maybe you have better footwork, maybe you have a better 3-pointer or whatever. I don't really know basketball terms, but you get the point. Instead of doing that, you make all the other taller basketball players get on their knees and play on their knees. That is what equity is. That's not fair. That's not what fairness is. Do you think it would be fair to make all the other tall basketball players get on their knees and play on their knees just so the other shorter basketball player has a better chance of winning? Or at least competing? Do you think that's fairness? That's not fairness. Equity is not fairness. What's fairness is equality. And that's why they want equity, because they realize we actually have equality now, and they want to keep this victim mentality going on. And nonprofits want to keep making money off the idea that women are oppressed, and, you know, activists want to keep getting their book deals and stuff like that. So that's why they're saying equity now, because they realize we do have equality. now they want more.
So what does equity look like?
So equity is generally described as a state of fairness, because historically a lot of people have been arguing for equality, but what does that give us? Like 0.5 of the 1% being women. This doesn't really do anything for us. And so people have talked about equity instead, which is instead of sameness, it's fairness. And this would mean that we remove systemic barriers to engage in society.
And what I believe Sydney Watson pointed out, it wasn't equality anymore. And it wasn't even equity. It was supremacy. That they want supremacy. They want to be at top. They want to be on the top. They want to be the hierarchy. They want to have the power. They want to be in control. And again, that's the typical neo-Marxist communist sort of socialist idea. 2 more points I want to make and then I'm gonna go. The other one is abortion. Of course, they talked about abortion, the age-old debate between women and men in society, whether to kill or not to kill the baby. Of course, the feminists, the pro-feminists were pro-choice and pro-abortion up until the moment the baby's head is being breached, I guess. Of course, the anti-feminist was either abortion with limits, but I think all of them were pro-life pretty much. And I think someone made a really good point about the whole abortion thing, that it's really fed to you as this women empowerment, this female empowerment. But really, is it though? It seems like it gives men the way out. Yeah, it gives women the way out too, but still, you are the one who have to go and get the abortion. You are the one who have to put your body through that trauma. You are the one who have to put your emotions and your mind and your soul through that trauma. Not the guy who, if he didn't want the baby, he can go just skipping and laddy-gagging around, and you're the one who has to suffer. So who really is winning when it comes to abortion or the culture of abortion? Who really is winning? Pearl and Sydney kind of brought up this idea like, okay, you know, I don't necessarily think all women who are pro-choice are just sluts and they just want to have as much sex with as many guys unprotected as possible, but it definitely does exist, right? And so they brought up this thing, and instead of the feminists being like, hey, no, we definitely don't promote unprotected sex, that would be irresponsible, they were like, yes, queen, what's wrong with being a slut?
I think women want to sleep around and not have any consequence for it.
Hell yeah, we do.
Yeah!
I'm actually sex positive myself. Like, I think you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want with your body, except aborting, because that's not your body. But when it comes to sex, just be fucking responsible. And if you're not and people call you out on it, just own that shit. You know what I mean? But anyway, so they were, yes, queening each other about sleeping around with no protection. But the other side of that is men also get to sleep around with no protection, no consequences, no liabilities, no accountabilities, and they're not the ones who have to take their bodies through that trauma, right? Now, maybe mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like maybe this will come back and haunt them someday, that they were okay with their child being aborted or whatever, but they still don't have to take their bodies through that trauma, right? If I was like a sneaky misogynist and I actually was like, actually, I don't like women, wouldn't it be the greatest villain plan ever to like convince a bunch of women, to like brainwash a bunch of women to basically sterilize their bodies so men can just sleep with them with no responsibility or accountability? I'm just saying, it's a possibility. I'm not saying that's true, but it's a possibility. But it's also a really good point that it's making men also irresponsible and non-accountable. And according to Dr. Jordan Peterson, it keeps men and women, but he's particularly focused on men when I saw him talk about this, was that it keeps men, young boys, and it keeps them in a perpetual state of adolescence. So, yeah.
Instead of, you know, taking personal accountability and being on birth control, they just want to like do whatever they want.
Who does that benefit? I don't think that benefits women. I think actually that benefits men, because it means that men can have sex with you without consequence. It means that you can sleep with whoever you feel like, great, but there are consequences because women are the ones who get pregnant and carry babies and give birth.
It's very binary version of sex.
Yes, because sex is binary, but please let me finish my point.
Oh God.
It's tricking women into thinking that aborting a pregnancy, terminating a pregnancy is something to be celebrated, when in reality, for a lot of women, especially those who are doing it under duress, say that they've been raped, or that, you know, in the small circumstances where something really traumatic has happened to them, that's a medical decision. Or say that they're miscarrying and then they have to, you know, have an assisted termination. That's a medical procedure. It's not a celebration of, oh, look at the.
I know I said that was my last point, but one last point about intersectionality. Sydney Watson hit on this, and I totally agree. Intersectionality is wrecking whatever movement they're trying to have. Not only does it stifle conversation, because all of the feminists who are very big believers of intersectionality, they're so scared of offending all of the intersecting identities and ideologies and labels that you're not actually able to even explain yourself. You don't even know what the fuck you're fighting for. It is ruining your cause. It does not help. If you want to fight for abled or disabled body, fight for that. If you want to fight for fairness for black and brown people, then fight for that. If you want to fight for fairness for fat people or ugly people, fight for that. If you want to fight for trans rights, then fight for that. This intersectionality needs to be dismantled. It needs to be torn to shreds and thrown on the ground and stumped and then put into a dumpster and then set on fire and then sent to Antarctica, never to be seen again. Because it's literally, I'm not a feminist, so I don't give a fuck if you want to ruin your own goddamn platforms, but it is ruining whatever movement you're trying to have. This is why most people do not identify as a feminist, because when they ask you what it fucking is, you can't even answer the question. And the last point that I want to make is the whole trans issue. So Eli, oh my god, I just thought of his name. It's Eli, the criminal trans person that was on the panel. Eli, and there was another trans woman that was sitting next to Sydney Watson that actually seemed kind of nice. She seemed sweet, so I'm not going to really bag on her at all. But Eli and the rest of the women talked about the trans issue, and I haven't actually hit on Jingle Jangles a lot, but she was the psychopath of the bunch. But anyway, she says something like, it's really conservative of you. She said conservative or Republican, something like that, of you, to ask someone to explain themselves instead of simply taking them at their word and just believing them. What? That's a conservative thing, to ask questions, to be inquisitive so you can learn and grow and have knowledge, so you can think for yourself and not just be a sheep and just be led. That's a conservative thing. Is that the hill you guys really want to die on? That liberals are just mindless sheep, that they just believe what anybody tells them without question? I said this in another video, that the masses have literally been convinced by denying reality, facts, truth, that it makes them a good person. Okay, sure. I just find it ironic for women who just sit there and just, feminists and feminism and women and womanism. I think one of the women said she was a womanist. But tell another biological woman to shut the fuck up and listen to this biological man mansplain you and just take them at their word. Fuck the biological woman who actually has experience in sports, which was Pearl. Fuck her. Listen to the biological man. A bunch of women. You think it's really far-fetched that women can be brainwashed into sterilizing themselves so men can just go around sleeping around with no protection and no consequences? It seems like women can literally be brainwashed into allowing biological men to take up the conversation. Okay, there.
I want to come at this from the position of an athlete.
Oh, Jesus.
So I play semi-pro basketball, semi-pro volleyball. So when it comes to like athletic spaces, I don't think that trans women should be allowed into athletic spaces, because I don't think it's a fair. I think as female athletes, we work so incredibly hard for the little opportunity there is in women's sports.
Would this be a barrier for you?
There's no barrier. There's less opportunity in some industries.
That's what a barrier is.
There's less. It's not. No. It's
That's
based
what
on the
friction
market.
means.
Okay.
Hold on, guys.
Okay. So again, we work very hard for the little opportunity there is in the space, because we're not as entertaining as the men. Sorry, we're just not. And so it's like you're gonna take the little opportunity that we're given. And the problem is, like, we can't compete. we can't. Like, I'm 6 foot. If I go up against a 6 foot guy and I play basketball with him, he's gonna body me.
And what happens if I go up against you?
Even if I have years more of training. And so it's like you're taking away the little opportunity that we're given and we all work so hard for, and you're just giving it back to biological guys. It's like, this will be the end of women's sports.
Have you tried confidence?
Eli, hold on, Minnie.
Sorry,
Eli.
confidence can't make me bench what a guy benches.
I don't
Confidence can't make me
you guys
6'7".
are so hostile. She's sharing her
confidence
experience
can't make
in
me
a
6'7".
specific
No, she's
field.
sharing
And I'd have to
trans
go.
No, she's not. She's a woman who's had an experience.
Hold on, one at a time.
You guys are so obsessed with your own experiences and your own existence, and yet when a woman is sitting here telling you, I feel as though this is unfair and this is compromising and this situation is not helping women, you guys are like, meh, meh, meh. But when you're like, I'm a black person that did this, 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 and this, then it's valid and fair and viable.
I just feel like in places, as an ally, in places where there's no understanding, we can just respect and not really, like, our opinions don't fucking matter.
Let me know what you guys think of this video and of the Vice debate. If you watched it, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who do you think was the MVP of that entire panel? Anybody, pick anybody. I don't care if they were Jingle Jangles or if they were Sydney Wassam. Let me know in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, you can donate. My PayPal link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course, it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. Another great way to support this channel is either join my brand new membership program, different levels, different tiers, different perks, or you can visit my brand new merch shop, links down below, and links to all of the alternative platforms I'm on, my socials, including my minds.com, my Rumble account, my Odyssey, my Discord, and all the other links I have to my channels on this platform is in the description box below, the community tab, or the about page of this channel. And if you like, you can super thanks. I also have a second travel vlog channel. I travel as a lifestyle. I live abroad. If you'd like to know where I am in the world, you can go in the description box below, and also in the comment section, hit the link, go subscribe to my travel vlog channel, and or follow me on my travel Instagram. My stories is usually what's most up to date. And you guys have an amazing day. Bye.